I haven't had one in 5, 6.
They're not, by the way.
Oh, that's fine. That's great. But is there, I make less than $45,000 a year annually. Is there gonna be something, and I know it's a hard question to ask in front of all these people,
That's all right.
but is there gonna be something for the people who just don't have a right, we don't have a vote, we don't have a say, we work off of you?
It's one of the things that has bothered me the most in the budget crisis of the last 3 or 4 years, has been that unionized state workers continue to get increases, but the folks who are not unionized, like you, have not, because of discretionary and discretionary, right?
Yeah.
You know, folks, and that includes executive development service folks as well, who have not had their salaries changed. And the answer is that I'm trying to deal with it in the context of, as I'll be talking about on Thursday, the town meeting on Thursday, in the context of what we're confronting as a state financially, which you probably are aware of every new dollar of spending in the proposed FY15 budget, 94 cents of every dollar is taken up by pension costs, health benefit costs, and debt service. Those three entitlements are taking 94 cents of every new dollar. That means there's 6 cents left to deal with a lot of the other issues that people have brought up here today. And so within that 6 cents, I'm trying to deal with it. I am though concerned, and it was brought to my attention in this last round of budget discussions about folks that are in your circumstance. There's folks in the Attorney General's office that are in across government. Are you in the Attorney General's office?
Very low down, but
Low down.
I'm under the bubble of down below.
Right, and that was the one that was particularly brought to my attention, is that I think the Attorney General's office has been longer than almost any department in terms of those folks getting a raise. So I'm looking at trying to be able to do that. But understand, when I talk about the fact that we need to get this entitlement system under control, it's to help folks like you, because if we're spending 94 cents of every new dollar on pension costs, health benefit costs, and debt service, eventually, and that's this year, and those costs get higher in the next 3 to 5 years, it could wind up eating all of it that we have because we're not dealing with reforming that system. So, as I said about the power outage thing, doesn't help you because you're like trying to pay the bills and put food on the table and keep roof over your head. You're like, yeah, Governor, I understand your problems, here's mine. Mine is I gotta pay my bills. So I understand that, and we are looking at that. But I can't make any guarantees until the budget negotiations with the legislature are over about whether or not we're gonna be able to do something or we're not. I'm looking at it, and I'm sensitive to it, and I'd like to try to help, but I don't know what I can't make.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
You had pension reform recently and made it top 5 years of your salary.
Right.
From my perspective, make it the length of my career. Give me 25 years average salary, not 5, and I'll be happier. It'll save
You want to run for legislation?
No, it'll help me. It won't bankrupt the pension.
That's right. Listen, there's a common sense person who works for the state and understands this. We've got the public sector unions right now suing us to restore the cost of living adjustments, which were eliminated in the pension reform. And the reason they were eliminated was because we can't afford them. Because the pension system is $52 billion underfunded. $52 billion underfunded. Now, I heard people in the legislature recently say, that's not a problem, we'll grow out of it. We have a $34 billion annual budget. Annual. Anybody really think we're going to grow out of the problem? When you hear a politician say to you, we're going to grow out of this problem, you know what that means? They don't want to tell you the truth. Because the truth is, you don't grow out of the $52 billion problem. And instead of getting on board and saying, all right, and by the way, the cost of living adjustments we took away, we said can go back, if that individual fund gets to 70% of the amount of money they ultimately owe. Not 100%, 70%, because a lot of these funds are in the 50s in terms of the amount of money they have versus what they owe. So we said, get it up to 70%, then if you want to vote to have the cost of living adjustments back, go ahead. They're suing over that. What it's going to do is, and I'll give you this example, look at Detroit. Now, Detroit went bankrupt. The city of Detroit, as many of you probably read, went bankrupt. They had $11 billion in debt versus $2 billion in cash. I'm not a mathematician, but that's a problem. But here's the bigger read into the Detroit problem. Of of the $11 billion in debt, $9.5 billion of the 11 was for pension and retiree health benefits. $9.5 billion of the $11 billion in debt. So you put your finger on something that's very important, which I'll be talking a lot more about on Thursday, at the town hall meeting we have on Thursday. And that is that we can't click our heels and wish this away. We've made it better through the round of reforms that we did in 2011. We need another round of reforms because it's not, the two lines aren't catching up. They're going in the opposite direction. And you know, everybody, that that's going to lead to two alternatives, both of which should be unacceptable to all of us. Massive increase in taxes, massive increase in taxes to pay for that, or the bankruptcy of the pension system, which is unfair to people like him and others who have put their money into that system for years and have planned their lives based on the fact that they're going to have that pension when they retire. Those are the only two options. Option number 3 is grow out of it. That I call the magic wand option, right? Just wave the magic wand and do the best. And the last thing I'll say about it is this. For those people who say that, well, I just want to do this, I think I want to do this, this is not the kind of fight you'd like to have. We had thousands of people on the front steps of the courthouse, or the state house rather, in Trenton in the last round, with signs that called him Adolf Christie. This is not the kind of fight you welcome, everybody. This is the kind of fight you take out because you have no choice. You have no choice. And we have no choice but to fix this problem. But just to let you know, it doesn't matter to me, on a personal level, is that I can get through the next 3 years. I mean, I can never run for governor again. This is it. You get 8 years, then you're done. And I'll get through the next 3 years. It'll be a struggle if we don't do anything, but we'll get through it. But I'm going to stay a citizen of the state. And I don't want any of us to be tagged with the ramifications of what will happen if we don't fix it, which is either a whole class of people who worked hard and deserve to get what they bargained for, not to get it, or all the rest of the people in the state having to pay an unthinkable tax increase to deal with this problem, and have many of them decide, well, I can't live here anymore, I can't afford to live here anymore, and do that. That would change the character of the state. So that's a long answer to your question about, can I get a raise? But I thank you for bringing it up because it allows us to talk about a bunch of things that we are.
Thank you.